sign. You probably should get something that you're okay with it there. All right. And with that, I'm going to move myself over to the PowerPoint. If you have any questions, please just speak up and I'll throw my picture back up and I can answer at any point, okay? So I'm going to talk for a bit, which I know isn't the most exciting, but again, feel free to interrupt with questions as well. If I miss something, you don't have to wait till the end if you don't want. So with that, let me pull this up. All right, so you are here to learn about Leadership Fellows, which starts very soon. So what is Leadership Fellows? People often ask, what is it compared to Leadership Denver? It is a need to look inward and grow, no matter your level or title that you hold. Did not mean to make those rhyme, by the way. Whoops. Continued personal growth, and it's been in existence for 5 years. So it's our newest program, and it is funded by the Betcher Foundation. So 6 or 7 years ago, Betcher and the Leadership Foundation got together and realized there weren't many programs that looked as inward and deep for higher level executives out there. A lot of mid-management and a lot of beginning management courses, but nothing for folks who have gone through leadership programs, but now have new positions, have higher level positions and want to continue the growth. The purpose of the class is to provide a place for top leaders to work on their personal growth and elevate themselves to the next chapter of leadership in their organization or community. Who is this good for? People often ask, hey, who would I recommend to fellows? And it's really anyone leading a team, a mission, a vision, or change. If you're not leading, you're still welcome in the class. But sometimes it's a little bit tougher because your classmates are really leading big things, big initiatives, larger teams. And then anyone just willing to look inward. This is not a HR class where your company sends you to fix something that you did. This is you deciding that you want to continue the growth with a cohort. So we've got 3 objectives in the course. And the first one we've talked a bit about already, but it's leadership introspection. You'll use the Colorado Civic DNA leadership framework, which I can put in the chat in a bit, to articulate key milestones from your leadership journey so far and convert those learning and experiences into a future action plan. That's why most people coming into the class have leadership experience. It's not for new leaders necessarily, but you've been on a journey, you've done some great things, you've made some mistakes, and now we're going to reflect. Participants will align personal values with identified goals in order to lead their organization or community at scale. Objective number 2, you will identify and address blind spots in your leadership style, develop and implement a personalized plan resulting in improvements in leadership effectiveness using a 360 assessment and collaboration with an executive coach. And then finally, our third objective is the cohort. It's all of you. You'll evaluate current matters within your organization and community using a confidential cohort of peers to design a solution. And I'll talk a little bit about the strategy lab in a minute. So how do we get that done? We get that done through these components. It's an 8-month program, starts in May with a retreat. But in June, we start our classes at the chamber, and it generally has a flow similar to this: a leadership workshop with local content experts, a lot of reflection, journaling, activities, fireside chats from current leaders across the city, relationship building retreat, and some leadership readings. I do want you to know, though, there is time outside of class where people collaborate also. One is your 360 assessment. If you've done one in the last 3 years, we usually ask that people redo it because it's based around our civic DNA framework. If you've done one within the last year, then we don't have you do it, and we ask that you bring your results to your executive coach. We do have a large coaching pool of almost 20 coaches, very experienced coaches, who have been with us. The majority have been with us almost all the 5 years, and are loved by many. You have 5 sessions with those coaches. Then you have a strategy lab that I referred to briefly, and that is where you have a smaller group within the class. I aim to have the class between 25 and 30 participants so that it's smaller than a leadership Denver class, which is known to have upwards of 60, 65. This one would max out about 30. And so the strategy lab is where you're put in even smaller groups with a protocol to do current time problem solving. Maybe you have an issue, something happening, and this is your brain trust group to help you through that. And I just got some great information the other day that so many of the strategy labs still meet once a month, and somebody brings their, let's say, dilemma, and then there's a protocol for the problem solving. And then we have a portion, and I don't run this portion, but each other do, that so many of the participants work in fascinating spaces throughout the Denver metro area. And so they get to visit each other's workspaces. There's people who are at, I think last year they did Craig Hospital, the United Way 211 Center, and the Museum of Nature and Science. But that's something that the class works on. So some logistics. Interviews are April 18th and 19th. It's 20 minutes, and it's simply to get to know you. This is not a competitive interview process. This is a get to know you and where you want to go. It's one of the data points that I use to help me place you with an executive coach. It's virtual. There's just a couple alumni who get on, and it's our time to learn about you again and where you want to go. The retreat is May 8th and 9th in Estes Park. It is not mandatory, but I will tell you it is a loss to not go, because the relationships formed within those 2 days are just so crucial to the program. We had some folks that weren't able to make it last year, and they still survived the class. They still made some great connections, but it really is an important part of the program to make those relationships early on. And when do we meet? We meet the 3rd Friday of the month from 9 a.m. to 4. That being said, we serve breakfast at 8:30. So if you're a breakfast eater, I feed you at 8:30, but we start our sessions at 9 and we'll end at 4. Couple other things is the price of the program is $4,900, and scholarships are available. When you're filling out your application is the time where you say that you're in need of a scholarship and how much. Attendance, we have 9 days together total, 8-month program, but because the retreat is 2 days, it's total of 9 days together throughout the program. And we ask that you do not miss more than 2. And I put in there, it's because you are the curriculum. So much of what you bring, your experience, is part of the learning for your classmates. And when people are gone, I feel like something has left the room. So I would ask that you check the calendar online, and I can also pull that up and put it in the chat if that's helpful. And make sure that you can make the majority. Besides the retreat, our classes are all down at the Chamber of Commerce at 1445 Market Street on the 5th floor. In December at graduation, we do have a party offsite, but we have class at the Chamber, and then we walk over to a celebration area. All right, I'm gonna have you take my email down. So if later today something comes to mind and you have questions that you weren't able to ask now, you can shoot me an email at any time. So with that, that was kind of the nuts and bolts. That was me talking straight for 11 minutes, and I apologize. But questions, comments? Oh, no, I can't have an 11-minute. Hi, Shelley.
I do have a question about the 25 to 30 participants. What are the levels of the people, and then what sectors do they come from?
So thank you for that question. Where they come from is all over. I'll tell you my past 2 years of this program. They may be CEOs of a nonprofit. They may be from the corporate sector. There's no industry diversity in terms of when I form the class. If you apply, then you're welcomed in, but it comes from all the way from banking, Comcast. We had someone from Excel last year. And so when I talk about titles, I think it depends sometimes on how big your organization is. I will say this, people are in a decision-making position. And I only say that because if you're, and I know I have Bonnie on here from Excel, but when you're in these huge organizations, right, you may not be the very top, but if you're in a small one of a nonprofit of 15, you may be the top. So I like to say people who are making decisions and leading a team, I think what I found most, generally I find people who have gotten themselves to a level where they're a little bit siloed, where maybe they don't have as much of a cohort to lean into. When you get towards that decision-making level, you can't always say, I don't know, I'm not sure, I'm over my head. And so I usually get folks who have gotten themselves to a position high enough where they don't have maybe that brain trusting cohort. I hope that helps answer it, Shelley.
Yeah, and can you tell me about the coaches? Are they ACC, PCC certified?
Yes, all of them are certified. I believe there may be only one I'm bringing on that is a new coach, but most of them have been certified for years and years and years. And this is their profession, just so you know. The coaches, this is their profession. This isn't their side work. So they are all trained. They all come with their certifications. They turn their certifications into me.
Thank you.
I will say this about the coaches, it's 5 sessions, which is kind of quick. Some folks will stay with their coach when they leave the program. They'll decide, oh my gosh, this is the most helpful thing I've had, and I want to continue on. And that's then on your own parameters with the coach. But 5 sessions, I will say, goes quickly. And there's one with the 360 where they dig into your 360 and see what you want to work on. And I do not pair you with a coach until after our 2nd session. So we've done some exercises around what you want to get from a coach in hopes of you're ready for that level of vulnerability and you're not on your heels worried about like, oh, what do I share? What do I not share? I don't want anyone starting out with just 5 sessions and not being able to share openly and quickly.
I have another question. I was part of the Valley leadership in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm wondering what is the difference between Leadership Denver and this program, and how you distinguish between what would be better for people to choose.
So, I'm glad you asked that too, because there's definitely confusion, maybe with the titles. Leadership Denver is 50 years old. There's 65 participants, and it is all outward facing. We are out in the community. We are learning from leaders. We're studying things like education, energy, poverty, public safety. So it's very outward facing. I would say, even though the name is Leadership Denver, there's a small piece of the pie that is leadership skill building, and it's usually through a project. Leadership Fellows has no project because we say the project is you. So it's all inward facing. Leadership Fellows is all you. It's all inward facing. We are not out learning about water or healthcare. It is all inward. And so of the pie, I would say Leadership Denver is all outward facing with a little sliver of development and practicing those leadership skills, where Leadership Fellows, the pie is all leadership development with a sliver of civic engagement.
Okay, thank you.
And that might help others. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, Shelley.
Thank you. I apologize for my camera. It just broke and I'm lopsided.
Nope, you're fine.
Kate, can I add in a little bit about the Leadership Denver piece?
Please.
As you mentioned, it being outward facing, and I would say that, at least for me in where I was in my career in moving into leadership spaces, it was really helpful to be able to be around other established and or emerging leaders in Denver and learning about all of the things that you had talked about, all of the priorities of the mayor and the issues facing the city, and being able to develop a 360 comprehensive viewpoint on how does a leader approach some of these issues, especially in relation to Denver. So.
If I could dovetail off of that, with my PLC group and Leadership Denver, we actually still get together and gather. So I think it's also those relationships that you forge, and it's almost like forever. We're on like a WhatsApp channel too. So if people have extra tickets to something business related. So is that, Kate, do you think that's kind of like falls into the Leadership Fellows program where those relationships forge?
Yes, but let me say this. I think maybe at a tighter level, because you're really confiding in one another, like, here's what I'm facing, here's where I need support. So they still will say, oh my gosh, I saw someone the other day, the Museum of Nature and Science, and she said, oh my gosh, I just had this huge dilemma. And I was like, I got to get my strategy lab. She's like, everybody log on at 5. And she said, all but one logged on. And she's like, here's what I have going on. So the relationships are a little bit, I don't know if the word is deeper, but different than I have tickets. It's much more like I have this going on and I need everybody's thoughts and expertise, because people, Shelley, going back to your questions of industries, people come from all over. And so it's helpful, I think, to get the input of a wide variety. So yes, Rebecca, there's definitely relationships and those strategy labs still meet, but what I found is they seem different, if not deeper, just at a different place than seeing people out. It's more like they're calling them in.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with the 9 sessions, and you said 2 of those are in-person retreats, I know off the bat that I wouldn't be able to attend the one in May. I'm already at a conference for work. So would that count as being the 2 days that I couldn't miss?
No, we would count the retreat as one.
Okay.
Yep. So there's 8 classes total. It's just one of those classes is 2 days up in Estes Park. Then we start in June. The application deadline is April, Anna, 3rd, 4th.
I believe it's the 15th, but let me double check.
Would you be able to put the application link in the chat?
Oh yeah, Anna, you want to do that for us? That'd be great.
Yes, I can do that right now.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Is there an opportunity to extend the application deadline, Kate and Anna?
Let me see. Anna, tell me when the deadline is. And the only reason I am hesitant on that, but what I could do is leave it open for a person or two, is because of the interviews.
Yeah, okay, got it.
But Anna, what did you find?
Yes, so the application deadline is April 5th.
So Yelena, if you
Yeah.
needed it extended by a week or so, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, like even a week would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. That
Great,
wouldn't
thank
be
you.
a problem. But what I do need to do, because I have alumni come in and do the interviews, I need to get that situated almost like 90%. So it'd be one thing if there was 1 or 2 folks that I had to add in. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just saying thank you.
Yep. And if anyone has Leadership Denver questions, I think it's fine to ask those there too, because there is definitely people wonder what is best for me. And it depends what you're looking for. If you're looking to learn about Denver, like Jonathan, Rebecca said, if you're looking to see like what's out there, what are the city's priorities, who's working on what, that's a Leadership Denver. If you're looking inward, that's a Leadership Fellows. And Jamie and Yelena, as current Leadership Denver participants, feel free to pipe in too if there's something I'm missing.
No, I think this is great. And actually, Kate, I was considering somebody from HR for fellows program, and I think it should definitely be for the business since it is so beneficial looking internally. And yeah, this is very valuable. Yeah, being part of leading Denver now. I mean, it's a lot of rigor on civic issues, of course.
Yeah, Leadership Denver is very civic, and this one has just a slice of the pie.
I kind of like that the two programs they take a different focus. It's important to learn about our community and everything that's going on and how we can serve. And I've really enjoyed that and making the connections in Leadership Denver. And at the same time, I'm interested in developing my own personal leadership skills, which is why I'm interested in this program as well. And so what would the overlap be with our Leadership Denver class and this program?
So you all graduate in June and you would start fellows in May, but they're never on the same day because it's me.
Right.
Since I lead both of those programs. So you would have an overlap of the May class and then the June. Yeah, I think, Jamie, that's a great point to make too. When people ask, it's like Leadership Denver is like, what are the issues? And Leadership Fellows is almost like, how would I be a better leader within those issues? Not that you're necessarily leading on those issues. It could be something in your own space, in your own organization.
A lot of alums from Leadership Fellows go on to Leadership Denver and vice versa.
Yes, they do. There's a lot of back and forth. I would say I probably, well, no, I was going to say I have more that go Leadership Denver to Leadership Fellows, but that's in my short tenure. I've been running the program for 2 years. But I do have someone from Leadership Fellows who has just applied for the next class of Leadership Denver. And Ben, you know Clay, right? And Clay was a big component of building the Fellows program and a Leadership Denver graduate. So I do feel like there's a lot of folks that.
Thank you.
Kristen, Ian, Bonnie, anything?
I don't have any questions. I appreciate you doing this kind of, this kind of breakdown and working on my application. It seems like I'm excited about kind of, the introspective look at it all. And so, yeah, thank you. And look forward to hopefully being a part of the program.
Great, and it's good to see you again, Ian. Bonnie or Kristen, I don't want you guys to leave if you have questions.
No questions for me. Thank you. Super helpful. And the clarification among the different programs is helpful too, as we decide who's up next for Leadership Denver from Excel as well.
Okay, great.
I think the question I'm kind of grappling with myself is a balance between organizational leadership and community external facing leadership. In my role, I have both. And I think that it just from the description that you've given, it sounds like this might be focused more on organizational leadership. Is that accurate, or is it more just applicable to any space that you're in?
I would say this, so I just met with this team 2 weeks ago to do some refinement on the program. And it's interesting you bring that up because it was a large part of our discussion that some of the civic part of this program is through outward facing leadership, community leadership. And I'll give you an example. We used to do a conflict resolution type framework, and we'd step through all of this. And the person that ran it realized, this is a very corporate facing model. This is not a community facing model necessarily, because there's not hierarchy necessarily in community engagement. And so I would say we do our best to combine both of those. So it's not only organizational, but it is community facing. And I believe that really comes through with the folks that join from nonprofit areas, that they are often facing the community. Well, they're facing inward and outward at the same time. So I would say we do our best. It's not driven to be one or the other.
Thanks. That's really helpful. I am in a nonprofit, and so I'm considering both as equal but somewhat different needs. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, Anna has put the application link in there. When you hit the link, you will get the calendar. So the calendar pops up in that link. I will also put this recording on there. Not that you need to watch this again, but it will be up on the webpage. I am gonna stick with the deadline, at least outward facing, Elena. It'll say that's the deadline, and if we need to open it back up to get someone in, that's not a problem at all. And then feel free to email me if something comes up or if there's a question that you think of. Otherwise, I'm going to let you all go shovel or enjoy just watching it melt, because I'm just so excited that it's melting without much work on my end. Have a wonderful Friday, and thank you for joining.
Thank you, Kate.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, let me...
Ta-da!